Ariel Helwani post-fight at UFC 136 along with the Twitter tough guy himself, Mr. Dana White. Dana, it's good to see you, and obviously congratulations on a big event. First things first, let's talk about the main event. In that first round, what were you thinking? It seemed very reminiscent of the second fight.
Yeah, I was thinking, wow, here we go again, and it was crazy.
Did you think that Gray maybe...
You got me all off down a bit.
Why is that? You could tell them.
Ladies and gentlemen, we did a retake when Ariel Helwani today during this interview. When I do, we just keep right on rolling. It's not a problem when I mess up. But when he messes up, it's a retake. Yeah.
But we've done, what, 50 interviews or so by now? Yeah. I've had the pleasure, the honor.
Never done a retake except for the first time I met you, when you messed up like 50 times in our first interview.
You know why? I had to fast today. It was a very important Jewish holiday, and I have to talk to you about that, booking events on Jewish holiday.
It's amazing that you're here. Mark Ratner's not here. Lawrence Epstein isn't here.
Sandy Koufax didn't pitch in the World Series on this holiday, and yet Ariel Helwani is here. Third person just did it.
Yeah, well, that's a little too, when you're not pitching in the World Series, you might be a little. But
that is my dedication to the sport, and that is why maybe I'm a little off my game.
I love it. You don't have to get all overboard with that.
All right, well, let's go back to the fight. Did you think that Gray sort of eased up a little bit in that first round to not make the same mistake that he did in the second fight?
No, I don't think so. I think he was trying to knock Frankie Edgar out, and it's one of those things that, it's hard to say. They know they were in there fighting, and, Gray Maynard is a man of very few words. Trying to get an answer out of him on what happened is like pulling teeth, but it looked like he tried to knock Frankie out in that first round, and then the second round going back in, he didn't do anything the first half of the fight. Like 2.5 minutes into the fight, he did nothing, let Frankie get back into the fight. I'm assuming it was because he was exhausted and he was tired from, I don't think he pulled up. I think that Frankie Edgar has an incredible chin and an even more incredible heart, and the kid is he's tough to beat, man.
How did you score the fight going into the fourth?
Yeah, I had it even going into the fourth round, and I said, one of these guys needs to win the next 2 rounds or this is going to be a draw again.
So you had a 10-8 in the first and then 10-9, 10-9 for Frankie.
Yep.
And then the finish. Did you think Frankie had that in him to actually finish Gray Maynard? Because he's not a guy who's known for his power.
Well, what was crazy was it didn't look like Maynard was in a position where he was going to get hurt. Then he get knocked out. He got rocked, and Frankie moved in for the kill and finished him.
So at the press conference, you said that Frankie Edgar is now the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. You have Canada up in arms now. They're very upset because you've just dropped GSP down. Why do you think that he deserves that slot?
Canada's upset. It's already
Twitter. It's a beautiful thing.
Crazy. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to get on Twitter.
They are very upset.
Listen, all you Canadians, I know you guys love you some GSP, and so do I. I love GSP. I say it all the time. I actually get mad when I'm up in Canada. I'm like, how is this guy not sponsored by every blue chip company in Canada? He's a great champion. He's a great ambassador for our sport. He's a great ambassador for his country. But when you really look at what the pound for pound means, how do you not put Frankie Edgar in the number 2 position? The guy weighs 145 pounds. He's fighting at 155 pounds. He's beat everybody and just knocked out Gray Maynard. He is the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. No disrespect to Canada or George St. Pierre. It is what it is.
What do you think he'll do with Frankie next?
I don't know. That's up to Frankie. I mean, that's not really up to me. If I was running over Frankie's place, he'd be fighting at 145 pounds.
Even though he's been doing so good, look who he's beaten.
That's why it's so hard to really sit there and say, hey, Frankie, you should do this. He beat BJ Penn twice. He beat Gray Maynard, knocked him out when everybody thought he had his number, and he's beat everybody else in the 155-pound division. When you watch this guy fight at 155 pounds, look how much bigger Gray Maynard was than him tonight. And he gets hurt. He overcomes, almost getting knocked out to knock out Gray Maynard. And I don't know. I just love to see the guy fight at 45 pounds.
In terms of 155, though, who do you think's next for him?
No clue. Not even thinking about that right now.
What are the chances Melendez is next for him?
Don't know. I don't even want to talk about Strikeforce. I don't even want to talk about it. It's that whole thing's still going on, and it'll be sorted out soon.
So no point asking you about the phone call that you were talking about on Wednesday.
Yeah, well, we had the phone call, and we're pushed back another week.
Who pushed it back?
I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm done.
But did you meet with Melendez this weekend? Last question about Strikeforce.
I met with him today.
Right.
Yeah, I met with him today. Good. I mean, listen, this kid's one of those guys that he's a great kid. He's a great fighter. He's either gonna come to the UFC or he's gonna fight over in the Strikeforce fight in December. We'll see what happens, though. He's a good kid. He knows what's up, and we'll get this thing figured out.
All right, you talked about Kenny Florian, how he performs in title fights. What do you think of his performance tonight?
Yeah, I think that Kenny came out and fought good tonight. You know, Jose Aldo's a guy who's been destroying people, and Kenny went 5 rounds with him. You know, I'm not going to sit here and pick Kenny apart, and it's real easy to sit back and say stuff about another guy who's actually going out there and fighting a guy like Jose Aldo. But and don't take all the stuff that I've said about Kenny in title fights that I don't like Kenny. I like Kenny very much. I think he's a great fighter, and what he's accomplished, you know, since I met him 6 years ago in Boston, fighting you know, at a dog track, small promotion there. What he's been able to accomplish has been amazing, and outside of the octagon too. I think he's a great analyst. I think he's a great commentator, and I think he's got a future with us and in the sport and whatever he wants to do.
Is it confirmed that Chad Mendes is next for Jose Aldo?
It's not confirmed. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
All right, how about Chael Sonnen? He had an amazing performance. Were you surprised that he dominated Brian Stann that way?
I absolutely was. I'm a big believer in ring rust, and he had absolutely none tonight. He looked unbelievable from bell to finish. He looked so good. Yeah.
In hindsight, do you think Brian Stann was ready for a guy like Chael?
Yeah, I think you know, he had. Yeah, that fight was definitely, no doubt about it. But apparently he wasn't.
What do you think of Chael's post-fight interview? Some people saying it's the best in UFC history.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I've also had other people going, "What is this, the WWE?" You know, which is it drives me crazy when people ask if it's the WWE. Listen, every guy has their own personality and everything else. I mean, look at how Tito was when Tito, you know, would do interviews. It is what it is. You're going to get different guys. I mean, you're never going to see another Chael Sonnen. I mean, this guy isn't trying to be WWE. He's not trying to whatever. He's out there, man. He's, you know, the stuff that this guy says, and you know. It's crazy.
Would you hold him to that stipulation if he loses, he's out of the UFC?
I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see how this whole thing goes down. I can tell you this. I don't know if he hates Anderson Silva as much as he says he does, but Anderson Silva hates him, man. Anderson Silva hates this guy, hates him with a passion, and he just keeps talking more and more and more, and it's going to be interesting.
So is that what you want to do next, Chael versus Anderson too?
Yeah, it'd be pretty stupid not to do it, but we'll see what happens.
Super Bowl weekend, or is that just Chael trying to put in?
Chael, yeah, it's Chael, you know.
He said you already told him the date.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Or maybe Tito did.
But it doesn't sound like a bad idea. I mean, it's we'll see what happens. Anderson's got, you know, his shoulder problem right now. We'll see how long it takes for that to get better, and we'll figure this thing out.
Okay, one last thing about tonight. Joe Lozon looks fantastic. I mean, a lot of people did not consider him even up there with Melvin. He was a 3-1 underdog. Can you just talk about what he did out there and derailing? And I think you sort of alluded to this when talking about Melvin in Denver. He seemed to have a lot of confidence this week, and perhaps some of it was going to his head. I don't know, but he was very close. And you talked about the head problems that he had when he was, you know, sort of a reality TV star. Do you think any of that got to him in the build-up to this fight?
I do. I think, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Melvin Guillard is his own worst enemy, you know, and he came in tonight jumping up and down like he already won the fight. He was on his way out instead of his way in, you know, out of the arena instead of into the arena. And I agree with Joe Lozon, not taking anything away from Lozon. No, it'd be one thing if you said, hey, Lozon went in there and got him to the ground and submitted him. You know, that's the only chance he had, was if this thing went to the ground and he could pull off a great submission. He rocked him twice, then got him to the ground and submitted him. Lozon looked awesome. And, listen, only Melvin knows what happened tonight, and if he was looking past Joe, and if he didn't take this fight serious, and if he mentally wasn't focused going in there because he thought that this was an easy fight for himself. But it's all part of being a well-rounded fighter. You know that this kid has all the attributes. He's explosive, he's powerful, he's talented, he's got a great chin, you know, but he did something wrong tonight.
Finally, can you explain how you ended up with Jones and Machida at 140? First time we talked to you since then. How did that, you know, obviously we thought it was going to be Evans. How did it end up there?
Yeah, no, I don't know how you guys would think of that it would be Evans, because you knew he had pins in his thumb and that
I'm
was.
saying at 135 they walked in.
Yeah,
I'm saying then,
because what happened was when we got them together inside the octagon, we thought that Rashad's thumb was a lot further along than it really was, and it wasn't. So Jones, we had intended for Jones to fight in Toronto, and he couldn't do it.
Will Rashad have to fight someone else before fighting Jones again?
He won't have to, but he probably will. He told me that, listen, if this thing doesn't line up and timing doesn't work on this thing, I want to fight. So he probably will fight somebody else if that's the way it goes down. We'll see what happens.
All right, Dana, thank you for the time. Congrats on a huge event.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.